Good afternoon, everyone out there in our MNC Hoops world. We're so thankful to be back. Yet another episode of, I about said count the bucket there for a second. It's been a minute since that show, but with MNC Hoops. Of course, my name's Michael here in Harlan, chopping it up with my boy CJ up in Harlem. You know, we almost should change the name to something like that, Harlan to Harlem or something. That would be kind of cool, I think. But we were talking about it today during Thanksgiving. Just how cool it is, how we've met with this, and how we have a relationship here from 3 or 4 states away from each other. But just thankful for Thanksgiving, guys. We want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. CJ, of course, for you, happy Thanksgiving to you as well. How you doing today?
Happy Thanksgiving to you and the Lawson family.
Thank you.
Everybody over there having a great time, spending time with the family. Doing well. Doing well, my brother. We chopped it up earlier today.
Sounds good.
And so, yeah, it's been well. Spending time with the loved ones. Just grateful for it all. Just the people in my life right now, and just not taking anything for granted. I'm just appreciative for them being around, and you being a part of that. As we do the show together.
Thank you.
But, just bigger than the show. Because. We get to know each other, understand each other. Now, we're about to start running 2K together. So,
yes, sir.
Like I said, just grateful for all the opportunities and thankful for the people that have been in my life so far. Just ready to keep pushing forward.
In a, I guess, emotional level here, as we kind of talk with Thanksgiving, guys, me being a little bit older than you, I'm 38, be 39 in April, having health scares every now and then. It kind of makes you really humble yourself, I guess, and really think about things. Of course, you all have heard us talk about my 3 kids before. I'm thankful I got to spend the day with them all day. Of course, thankful I got to go to my dad's house and have pretty much all of our close family for Thanksgiving. The way we always do it is we go about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock and have Thanksgiving. And then we come back home, put up our Christmas trees and our decorations and everything. And then about 6 or 7 o'clock, we go back to Dad's and eat some leftovers because there's always so much. So enjoy doing that tradition, carrying it on. My kids, 2 8-year-olds and a 7-year-old, really enjoyed decorating Christmas this year. It's a lot of fun seeing them pull out their old ornaments. Like, oh, I remember this. But this is my first year having a sports card Christmas tree. I don't know if you can really tell on there, but I've got a bunch of Kentucky players, some of the autograph cards and everything. Of course, we got Reed Shepherd up at the top. That's my son's card. It's the topping up there. So we got our Kentucky stuff and ready to celebrate. Any traditions you guys do for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, growing up, definitely, my grandmother was still here. We all used to go up to Jersey, and my aunt was at. And everybody used to come together. Everybody got pictures, so many photos of the time spent growing up, 12, 13, and then definitely trying to get back to that. We should do it like every other year, so we're just looking forward to some little traditions like that towards Christmas time. Definitely, I'll probably say like the second week of December when the tree used to come up and used to put ornaments together. Remember where the tree was. Where exactly where to get the stuff during that time of the season. So that's things like as you get older, you go through life, you sometimes like forget about that stuff because you're living and you just have that's just how it is. But when these type of seasons come around, it makes you have some time to reflect and definitely go back and think about those moments.
Yeah, we definitely take things for granted. We think we're immortal when we are teenagers or kids and everything. You don't think about it until you get old like we are and think, man, our families, what are we doing now? Or our loved ones that we're missing at the dinner table and think, gosh, if I would have just held on to that moment a little bit longer or enjoyed it while I was there. But that's why we're thankful now, because we know that those moments we've experienced those situations, and now we can think, hey, let's change our mind just a tad bit and really focus in on what we have now and be in the moment. Humbling is a word that well, we do a men's fellowship at my church. We just had it Tuesday, and that was kind of one of the things, talking about how men are so prideful in things and how we need to remember to be humble in our everyday lives against competitiveness of this is me and all that stuff. So that lesson with Thanksgiving has really been speaking to me quite a bit of just staying humble and being in the moment right now. So, but, we're talking about traditions. And, of course, there's a new tradition in the NBA talking about the way the in-game tournament is going on. But there's a new start possibly for a tradition as far as the NBA All-Star Game format. CJ, I know you want to talk about this. So I will go ahead and bring over – wow, you had it queued up big time on that one. I like that. So the new NBA All-Star format. CJ's got a graphic on here for you guys listening to the podcast later. The proposed tournament-style format, 3 teams of 8 players each, and the winner of the Rising Star becomes the 4th team. 4 teams face off each other in matchups, Team 1 versus Team 3, Team 2, Team 4. I don't know how they would rank those, whatever, but the winners move on to the final round. So it's basically the semifinals. All-Star game scheduled for February 16th in San Francisco, of course, at the Chase Center. It says East defeated the West 211 to 186 in the high-scoring All-Star game last year. So it sounds fun, sounds interesting. What are your thoughts on this? It opens up to more All-Stars, which I do think is one situation that it kind of attacks there, I guess.
They're trying to find ways to get people to watch the All-Star game. That's just really what it boils down to. Let's just talk about it, right? And that's really what this is about. And this is a nice idea, and I think the NBA, they're trying, but it really doesn't matter what you do if the players don't put in maximum effort. So ultimately, this may look good on paper. It may be a nice concept, but it's going to come down to the players. Players, and so far, what we've seen over the last, it's been a while. I'll say let's just say 7 years. Really, it really hasn't been competitive in the All-Star game, and I really don't understand why. Growing up watching the All-Star game, it was definitely competitive. Yes, there were definitely moments where you could see where that players weren't going to go 100% because it's an exhibition game. You have regular season games after this. I mean, much more in terms of seeding and things of that nature. So objectively, as a fan, you already know what type of time it's going to be on. But I feel like the players have taken it completely to a level sometimes where just 220, 211 to 186. I mean, that to me, that's not a lot. That's zero defense, zero transition defense, not getting back. You see it all the time. That's not what you want to show with the game, in the game with all the All-Stars. That's not what if you're going to have the All-Star game, those are supposed to be the best 24 players in the league. Mm-hmm. You don't want to have them in the game with all of them playing together and they're playing bad defense and they're not getting back. They're not communicating, no rebounding. But you could still do those things and we could still understand what's left for the season for the players. So again, this looks good. This is going to be fun. It's kind of a tournament style, and again, when it's tournament style, you would expect the games to be closer. I think that's kind of what their mindset was when they tried to create something like this, because as they see in college, once March Madness hits, it's a different beast. It's a different beast. So if you could try to add that to the All-Star game and try to give some type of suspense, and you never know, this team we expect to win because they have these select players. The other team may win and get the upset. I think that's what they're going for. It's a good idea, but ultimately, if the product doesn't look good, the concept doesn't matter.
You can market it all you want to until the players decide to actually play defense on this. It's not going to work. I'm sitting here thinking as you're talking here, if Joel Embiid, which we don't think will be an All-Star because of the matter of that's MVP, I guess. The game said he's going to be sitting out. We don't know if he'll make All-Star. We'll put it that way. If he wins the game one, team 3, say he's team 1 and he wins and he goes against team 2 the next game, is he sitting out? He's not playing back-to-back games. So are we going to have players resting in All-Star games because of load management? It could be fun, and it could be a lot of fun.
We've already seen that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of crazy on this, I respect the NBA front office to actually know that this is a problem and something needs to be addressed, or at least try to entertain it a little bit more. But one of the main highlights that you see in the last 5 years, I'll say maybe longer than that, of a All-Star is Steph Curry laying down at the free throw line so they can go and dunk. Like, that's a clip that you always see. That's the kind of effort that we're really getting in the All-Star. You know, if you really stop thinking about it, that's pathetic, really. Like, don't show that highlight because it disgraces all All-Stars, you know? Excuse me. But again, for years, this has kind of been a thing. I think back when Kevin Garnett, and I want to say it was Stephon Marbury, and some of those more, I guess, more, how do I want to, more dog attitude for defense. Like, hey, we're going to win at all costs. That was probably one of the most fun and exciting All-Star to watch because they were trying to win it as big as they could with the defense. And until you get that mentality, and unfortunately, there's not many players with that kind of mentality in the NBA right now. It's always about scoring because that's what we push. We want to score as much as we can, as fast as we can. And there's not so much all-star defensive players. I mean, there was one the other day I seen on my phone, and it was Kobe Bryant locking up. I want to say it was James Harden. Maybe it wasn't James Harden. Dwayne Wade. That's who it was in Miami. And it was ridiculous. Picked him up basically 3/4 of the court and dogged him up big time until he finally turned it over. And you don't have your all-star guy playing that defense and then going and getting 60 that same way. So until you have someone come in the league with that mentality, I don't think it's ever going to change. It needs to be just warm-ups, basically. Go and show off and don't even play a game. Like, let's just get rid of the game and just go show highlights. Go dunk.
I'm not a fan of getting rid of the game. I'm a fan of keeping the game and having the players understand that you need to just play a little bit harder in the game. It's really that simple. You're going to get rid of the game because the players don't play hard? That's a bad look on the league, to me. Why'd you get rid of the All-Star game? Yeah, I know what I'm saying. But there's people that say, like, they just get rid of it altogether. And I'm like, I'm not a fan of that because, well, how does that look? That's supposed to be the, I guess, Oscars or whatever you want to call it of the NBA, right? They all come together and they salute each other. You know what I mean? So that's what that is. You're just going to get rid of the game because of the players, not because of anything else. That's not that doesn't send a good message.
Because honestly, it's the best opportunity for a fan in that city, at least, to be able to pay a little more expensive of a ticket because it's an all-star, but to see every all-star player in the league under one roof. Like, that's a wonderful, for a fan. It's the biggest opportunity for them. And then they get to the game and it's like, well, what's the point of paying $100 for this seat or $300 or whatever it is, if they're just going to really warm up the whole time and like lay down on the court so someone can dunk the ball. Like,
yeah, that clip is crazy. It's a funny clip, but the way you described it, it's kind of it looks bad. It's a funny clip because like we already knew Steph wasn't going to block Giannis' shot. But
it's a funny moment.
It's kind of it's really just that clip kind of epitomizes what we've seen over the last few years.
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah. Funny moment right when it happened, but then when you really look into it deep, like this is really what we're getting, you know. But it almost maybe plays into our next topic that we may go into of what we're getting on the court. You ready to go on to that one? Why are the NBA ratings down? And I'm not for sure what the ratings are. So, CJ, I'm excited to see what this is because I don't know why the ratings are down. So, someone from Twitter puts NBA ratings down 3% on TNT, down 28% on ESPN through November 14th. Wrote by this on his webpage, or the FOS weekend column. Shaq says it's too much three-point shooting, spoken like a big man. Let's just be honest. Adam Silver says it has to do with the World Series and the election. I say not enough storylines so far for this season. Storylines? Like, the NBA is a walking storyline. Every team has a top dog tier player that's competing for a championship what it should be. So I don't buy the whole no storylines. Like it's completely rots itself, really. Cat goes to the Knicks, and they've already played. Can Cat lead a team and fill Julius Randle's shoes? I mean, that's just a small story for the Knicks. For Miami, can they continue to develop their players and get back to the championship, the NBA Finals, like they have been so many times? Dame and the Bucks is a complete storyline in themselves. The Clippers can't get over everything. LeBron in his soon-to-be final years at some point, like no storylines. Like, how do you feel on that one? At least just the storyline.
Hold on. Why do you think the ratings are down?
For me personally, why the ratings are down is because it almost seems like it's more of a business than caring about winning. And to me, that's a problem because it's almost backyard ball. Granted, they're more athletic than any of us, but it's more or less backyard ball. Shoot the three as soon as you can. I'm not saying don't shoot the three. It's just many times the backyard ball, you'll have the big guy centers like, oh, I got the rebound, 3-point line, shoot. You know, there's no flow of an offense. And I just feel like it's, hey, I'm going to get my points so I can hopefully get my check when I get ready to get a contract extension. And it's not playing for a championship ring. That's my opinion. That's why college basketball is superior and NIL is starting to hurt it.
NBA ratings down 3% on TNT, down 28% on ESPN. This is from November 14th, so a couple weeks ago. Daniel Roberts, Front Office Sports. And then you highlighted some of the bullet points that he put.
Mm-hmm.
Shaq says it's too much 3-point shooting. I agree with that. I think when you see a team like the Golden State Warriors and how they were successful in winning the championship, that's what made them successful to win a championship. Mm-hmm. That does not mean your team is going to be successful doing the same exact thing, because why? Your team doesn't have Steph Curry. Your team didn't have Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Steve Kerr coaching, and the other array of role players and supporting cast that they had to go on that dynastic run. You don't have those type of players. You don't have those type of high IQ players. You have to create your own system based on the talent that you have. That's how you become successful. You can't try to copy what somebody else did. Yeah, sure, you can take some things from what they did, implement it into your system. If you feel like some of those plays are successful, sure. But let's just jack up a bunch of threes because 3 is more than 2. Mm-hmm. You're getting away from so many other parts of the game that you can also be efficient and be successful, and that could lead to an open 3. So I agree with that. I think there's definitely too much 3-point shooting from these teams. I'm not saying don't get them up, but it's how they're being created is to me the most important thing. Adam Silver says it was the World Series and the election. The World Series, yeah, definitely. You look at the Yankees, that's possible. It's possible. The Yankees and the Dodgers, 2 big market teams playing in the World Series. Big stars, Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Judge. Sure, people are gonna watch that. Those are 2 historic franchises in baseball. The election, big election. Yeah, let's go, bro. Appreciate you, my guy. I see you working as well on X. Doing your thing, bro. Appreciate you. Thank you, brother. Happy Thanksgiving. Let's go Knicks. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then for the election, 2024, of course, it's a big election. It's one of the biggest years and biggest elections in our country's history. So that's going to play a part, but mm-hmm. You should know how to navigate through this. This isn't anything new. This is not the first election. This is not the first World Series. So you're still supposed to find ways to put eyes on your product, regardless of what is going on elsewhere. It's competition. Mm-hmm. So you're supposed to find ways to be competitive and be successful in the heat of competition. NBA has to work on that. 28%, that's not just the election and the World Series. That's something deeper. To me, I think they kind of went too towards one side when they started doing the things in 2020 and during the bubble. When you do a business, you got to kind of keep it in the middle because you have all different types of fans. So you have to be able to make sure your product is something that where you navigate, you're able to have different ideas from different sides of the perspective. You can't just completely go on one side. This is what it is. just because society deems it as right in that moment. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to follow that. Sometimes that's a good business move. You think that brings you money. Other times it does not. So I think they kind of dropped the ball a little bit during that moment in 2020 and what they did. People are going to have their different opinions. That's completely okay. And people stop watching the NBA because of that, for sure. People stop watching the NBA because of that. No question about it. The storylines, I agree with that. You talked about some good storylines, but is that really being highlighted on everyday national sports media? You're talking about the MVP in November? It's too early. It's entirely too early to be talking about MVP candidates in November. So
I don't know if CJ
froze. Talk about on television shows. How about teach?
Okay.
I think we're good.
You froze on my end. I don't know if it was me or you, but carry on. You're good now. You're back, or I'm back one. I'm not for sure.
Yeah, I think we're back. So, how about teach your fans the game of basketball, right? And implement those things in your segments on your shows. You're on ESPN. You get hundreds of thousands of viewers every day on your show. Teach the game of basketball. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. And you have NBA players on the shows.
I think
NBA players, and they do that sometimes. I'm not going to say they never do that, but I just feel like you have to talk about the league. You have to talk about all the players on all these teams. That's how you create stars. You're just talking about the same old things all the time. It's dried up. People are going to want to have something else to talk about.
I mean, honestly, and it's crazy for even our show, but when we talk, when we highlight anything as far as like the thumbnail, whatnot, we put Los Angeles Lakers or LeBron on there, we'll get more views. And so, it is something that they have to look into as far as what's going to be observed more or whatnot. And so I know they want to keep going with that, but after a while, you're kind of beating a dead horse with that. How many times we have the LeBron Michael debate, or just the LeBron still hasn't aged. It's always a conversation, which is great and it's there, but I feel like sometimes they stay too long on the same story too. I even think back, of course, as you can tell, I'm a Kentucky fan. When we played Duke a couple of weeks ago, everything out of Jay Billis's mouth was Cooper Flagg, only 17. He's got a brother in Maine. Oh man, Cooper Flagg, this freshman coming in, he's going to be in the top NBA draft. Cooper Flagg. And Duke was winning most of the game. But then when Kentucky, like even at halftime, Seth Greenberg, who shout out Seth Greenberg, came on the show a long time ago, made fun of me mostly and loved CJ and Nick, but that's okay. It's a different story. Check it out. It's great.
Shout out.
Seth Greenberg and Jay Williams were interviewed basically asking questions about the two teams. They only talked about Duke. Well, as well as I do, if you look on ESPN, Duke is always on their scroll as far as ESPN.com. It's just what they are on college. And Jay Williams, even after the game, because Kentucky fans were crazy, apparently attacked him on Twitter and all this stuff. He has a video talking about, hey, Kentucky guys and gals, of course, BBN, as they call us, Big Blue Nation. We're sorry that we didn't talk about your team the way that you thought we should have. But our networks, our broadcast, has things that we have to talk about and highlight. And, of course, Cooper Flagg is that top guy right now that every media outlet wants to talk about. So we will talk about them. Yes, your team was good and you all did win. You have a great shot. But he kept saying, we almost have an agenda that we have to abide by on our conversations. And to me, that is super bad for sports, and that's super bad for ESPN. And 28, I think it was 28% down for ESPN. Just so you guys know a little bit on this, I work for Advanced Auto, and I'm the general manager at their store here. For the third quarter in finances, as far as our projections, we were down 10%, and we closed 500 stores across America, which was 10% of our businesses. So we had a big closing to re-implement our style of what we needed to do on 10%. ESPN right now is down 28% on their viewers. That's a lot. And we hear all the time of ESPN having these layoffs and all this stuff. With 28% viewers, as that continues, something's got to give on that end of it too, because it is a business for them. They've got to find better ways to promote. And I loved your idea of what you talked about teaching the game. Like, these young kids, they see these players do these and one videos that I'm showing my age with that, and just they want to implement or imitate these players and pull them from threes. Well, why not break down? Like, there's a clip that I watched numerous of times, even though I know what's going on in it. It's a Larry Bird and some back with the Celtics breaking down the pick and roll and how many things you can do. And I know almost word for word what they're going to say, how to react on this stuff, but I still watch it because you're learning the game. Did you miss something, or could you learn from what they're doing and change something in the game? So I think it would be great if they broke down the game like that. NFL, why do people love Eli and Peyton's little show that they kind of do during those games? Because they tell you inside of what's going on. Of course, they make fun of each other too. But we need to know more inside what's going on. What are these coaches really doing? I heard a comment the other day that SGA in Thunder, the coach said, you'd be surprised how much I really don't even coach him. I mean, I get what you're trying to say, but you're telling me you have a player on your team that you don't even coach? Like, what does that mean for us? Like, hey, SGA, you're doing great, man. Just you do your thing, and I'll tell these other 4 players where to go. We'll feed off of you. That don't make sense for us. So I think it'd be great if we could get more in-depth on that. And there's so many different outlets now as far as Bally Sports and all this stuff, the Suns in home, these channels, that if everything's blocked out and ESPN's not doing good, do something different. Because if ESPN continues the same way, they could be a different network that jumps in and takes over and has that monotony, really, or monopoly on what's going on. So find that different niche and attack it and really get into it, in my opinion, because I think that would be great.
Definitely. I think that's why people are moving towards independent media, what we are and what we do, because they're just tired of, and that's not even just in sports, that's in politics as well. Just in everything, just tired of hearing the same old things. You want to hear something new, refreshing, and it's not something that's not just dried up all the time. And just some of these narratives that the media push. The national sports media, and like you said, that was a good point. And again, he's pretty pretty much saying their producers tell us what to say, and that's why it's so tricky with me, because I'm gonna want to talk about other stuff. I'm not just gonna want to talk about just one player, one team all the time. I'm not gonna do that. So that's why for me, like, even I'm a fan of this space and what we do. Because I couldn't just be pigeonholed and just talking about one specific topic all the time, daily cycle, 24/7. That's not in my identity.
In all seriousness, we could probably make a Knicks channel and get more popular just talking about the Knicks, But
yeah, it's good.
But this is more broad. We're going to talk about as many teams as we can, or as many players as we can, because really, what's the last time you heard someone in depth on on a big platform media talk about Atlanta a lot? How many times have we said about the rookies? They are not advertised. Like, that's what they're supposed to be doing. I mean, even if they're not that good as we kind of acted pre-draft, like, keep it up. Like, something needs to be going on there, but it's silent. It's ghost, as they say, We had Wemby coming out of France, and it was hop, 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 continue. Then we have 2 other guys coming out, and it's like, okay, they got drafted. Now it's over. But with us at MNC Hoops, we try to dab in all these teams.
Of course.
Honestly, the Hornets don't really get too much publicity. The Pistons, because they're so bad, and we know what goes on there right now, but they're looking better this year. Portland Trail Blazers. I mean, there's fans out there that want to watch this stuff that doesn't get anything said on them. So, yeah, do better, guys. That's all I can really say.
And for the storylines as well, they need to do a better job of telling stories about the players. So talk about their background and what they do, and how they're able to how their journey to the NBA and what they were able to the path.
Awesome.
Is something. That's what I'm saying. You break that down. I'm sure maybe the team, their media,
right,
does that. But in terms, I'm talking about from the NBA level, when you have all the production, all the the stars you can put around it and make it work. You have to tell those type of stories. You can do that all the time with these players, and it's relatable. Somebody that could be from that neighborhood that player is from, that could be inspiring for somebody. They may not have to play basketball, but they see the work it takes to become successful. You can tell those type of stories. You don't have to just talk about the same thing.
That would actually be great. And I'll tell you from my perspective with Cats Chat, my Kentucky podcast, we have had like some of the Kentucky football players on the show and talking with them. We do what we call the fourth quarter questions at the end, where we ask what food they like, how they put their toilet paper on the roll, over or under, how do you cut a sandwich? And, we actually don't really care so much of them as an athlete, but as a person. And then when we see them on TV, getting an interception or something like that. We had Maxwell Harrison Jr. on last year when he had 2 interceptions returned for a touchdown and was the player of the week for the college football. Couldn't believe we pulled that, but he came on our show. And to hear just him laughing with us, goofing off, is like, okay, he's not just an athlete, he's a person. And then watching him continue on now, I'm like, man, he was on our show, he made that tackle, or, oh, wow, Trent Noah made the 3 for his first points for the Kentucky game. He's from Harlan County, where we are, and we had him on our show. That's so cool. Like, I asked him if he preferred blondes or brunettes, and he turned almost South Carolina red because that's where he was going to at the end. When you get to know him on a personal level, you have the fans that buy into that player a lot more. And honestly, even so much that I think that would help their marketing as far as their jersey sales and stuff like that as well. So I think it'd be great. MNC Hoops. Yes, we need to start getting some athletes on here and be like, hey, listen, tell us a day before a game. What do you do? Because I enjoyed JaVale McGee's YouTube channel there for a while of what he did, his food that he ate before games and all that stuff, because we've seen them as people.
Exactly. And I think, because that's what they are.
Yeah, but we forget it. We put them on a pedestal like a celebrity.
Yeah, I don't put them on a pedestal. They're entertainers, but again, but like I said, when you do what those type of segments that we're talking about, it shows you what, again, it normalizes things, and that's what you want. That's what you want to do as a league. You want to build a relationship between the fans, the players, the team. As a collective, that's how you grow more fans globally. They've done that, but in 2024, we shouldn't be talking about ratings being down for the NBA. That shouldn't be a discussion.
It should be continued to grow. And I did click real quick here, a quick search on Google. In 2021, there were 4.5 viewers on ABC in 2021. I'm sorry. In 2022, 6.4. So it grew. And it looks like it was a total of 11 million viewers. Then on average in 23, 6.0. So last year it decreased 0.4% down to 11.5 million views. Now this year we're talking about it's down 1.3 million viewers. So it's down to 5.7 right now. So of course we hear that doesn't sound too big, but the World Series this year averaged 15 million views per game. So that's really a big difference, 5 million to 15 million. Of course, it is the World Series, and everyone tuned into that game. So, to me, there's a lot of more people that love and play basketball than there is of any other sport, and really, they got to figure out how to tap into those people who play the game to watch the game as well.
It's a fact. I agree, bro.
All right, so let's move on to our next topic here. You guys, I almost had deja vu with this story that's coming up almost, but there's a story coming out of Minnesota and Timberwolves that I want to say Jimmy Butler called his team soft. I think that's that was a few years back. Now we come forward to where Anthony Edwards is calling the T-Wolves soft. So I'm sure. Oh, you got a clip? Awesome. I'm gonna let you.
I got a clip right here for you.
Okay, so CJ's bringing up a clip for us.
We've been trying to figure this out for the whole year, man. We thought this was defense was our identity, and it's not looking like it at all. We don't know what our identity right now. Me and Mike was talking about. I think we soft as hell. like as a team, internally. Like, you know what I mean? Like not to the other team, but like internally, like we soft. Like we can't talk to each other. Just a bunch of little kids. It's just like we playing with a bunch of little kids, like everybody, like the whole team. We just can't talk to each other, you know. And we gotta figure it out, man, because we can't go down this road.
That's tough.
What's your thoughts, man?
I hear a man that is really unsatisfied right now and doesn't know what the rest of the road looks like this year. And Julius Randle, you know a lot about from playing with in New York. I mean, he's kind of a guy who will call you out, basically, I feel like it, if something's going on. And Anthony Edwards is being that guy, as we can see here, but internally soft. I don't know if he's calling out coaches not being more aggressive with players, or if he's just saying, hey, if a player's messing up, we can't jump at them because we're soft and they get hurt feelings or what. But man, that's tough. I don't, as a GM or a front office person on here, I'm worried with that, with those comments, because I don't know how you make him happy to keep him going on with this or what, because trade's got to happen to figure out who's not going to be soft, or someone, your all-star who could take over the league in the next 3 to 4 years, may not be happy in Minnesota.
I think it's a good assessment of the team right now this early. And we'll see how they respond. I mean, we'll see how they respond from this. They didn't lose after he said this. But ultimately, they're going to, as the play, it's same thing you talk about the All-Star games. It comes down to the people that's on the court and how they play. So far, what I'm seeing, the clip that's gone viral with Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert. Gobert gets to sail off in the paint. Randle has the ball, ices him out, freezes him out, leads to an offensive 3-second violation. And you see Anthony Edwards talking to Gobert like, what the hell are you doing? Are you serious? Like, get out the paint. Probably other words said, but that was pretty much to summarize it. That's bad chemistry. That's bad team chemistry. Those are the 3 most important players on the team. That can't happen. Aaron, during that play, there's been a lot of talk about what should have happened on that play. People say Gobert, he's not great. He's not a great offensive player. He shouldn't have got the ball. Then there's the other side that says Randle should have given the ball. It's a clear sail off. He had a small defender on him. You have to make that play. That's the right basketball play to make because of the height advantage and how Gobert's 7'1". If he can't make that shot, or if he can't go to the free throw line and make the free throws, if he gets fouled, then he needs to improve. Mm-hmm. But you have to make that play and give him the rock. He has a mismatch. If you had a mismatch, you would expect the same. That's how you build team chemistry. That was Randle. You can't do that. And you're new on the team, and you're icing out a player that's already been on the team longer than you. And just won a defensive player. Listen, for what it's worth, he still got the award, but he won the Defensive Player of the Year award in a Timberwolves jersey.
Yep.
So, just make the right play. I don't understand. Even say if that wasn't the play. Say if they had a play set. So what? You telling me the coach is going to get mad at Gobert having an advantage on having a mismatch and capitalizing on that? Mm-hmm. You think Chris Finch is going to get mad at that? I don't think so. That's efficient basketball, and you need Gobert to score. Gobert scoring, that means his defense should improve. So if you're giving him easy baskets, it's not like he gets the basketball anyway. Just give him the ball. Simple. So they have to improve on that. That's you got to watch film. You have to talk. He said we can't even talk to each other. That's pretty much what he's saying.
Yeah.
Can't talk on the court. If you can't talk on the court, that means you're not talking off the court. Because if you're not talking on the court, how could there be conversations had off the court? It's impossible. They both have to be in sync. So it's early. They're talented. The West is stacked. So to have these type of issues this early could hurt the team, because you can't lose some of these games, because all these games are important, especially in the Western Conference.
Oh man,
they need to figure it out fast. they have the talent to figure it out, but ultimately they have to come together as a collective. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to say people. Again, this media is crazy. They're saying Anthony Edwards wants to leave and all this. I don't believe that. He just got an extension, I believe. Just wants to improve the team. He's a leader. He's a young leader. He's a young leader. He's calling his team out. So how are we going to respond? What are we going to do? Are we just going to lay down? Or are we going to go out there and fight and try to get back to where we were last year, which was the Western Conference Finals appearance?
I think it's a great move by Anthony Edwards. I mean, he's showing his leadership on here. And like you said, the response is what's key on this, because it almost makes it come to a head, as we say here. Like, something's got to happen now. Like, okay, it's been a situation because, like you said, the viral clip that you see or that we've all seen, and then whatever else is going on. So with him making this comment, it sounds a horrible comment, which it is, because it's calling out his whole team. But at the same time, it's a fork in the road now. Do we keep bitter and griping like we are and be children, as he says, or we say, okay, let's man up and get back on this ride and let's ride it out? So I think it's a great step for him to show his leadership too, to say, hey, if we're going to be contenders, we got to change. So I think you make a great point of talking about the response, or see how they respond to this. So great move. You agree that it was a good move for him to even do this?
If it was this bad, because usually you keep it internal, right? They call it the players, they call it the brotherhood. So you don't want to get things. You don't want things to be public, to get to the media. You want to make sure if there is an issue, it's talked about internally without any type of outside noise and interference. Mm-hmm. So to me, if he's already coming out and saying this publicly, that means they can't even get to that point internally. So it was like the only other way for him to express it, I guess he felt like, was to do it through the media. That's what he did. So again, what happens next will be interesting to see from the Minnesota Timberwolves. They had a hell of a season last year. They traded Cat. So it was a little weird. I mean, I didn't expect them to trade Karl-Anthony Towns. There were talks about it, but I didn't really think they would really do that. Just based on the year that they had, they just went to the Western Conference Finals. So I don't understand how you get rid of the second best player. You're supposed to improve. You make the move for Gobert because you felt like Cat was better at the 4. So you made a move like that for a player, and then you get rid of him.
Yeah, because always, I mean, between you and me, when we kind of had a conversation, I feel like Julius is more of a not stretch 4. He's more of a back to the goal in there where Gobert is. So it's almost like, hey, we're getting Gobert here so Cat can move out here and play face forward towards facing the rim. And now season's been, and let's trade away Cat and get someone who's got to play with his back to the goal. Didn't really make sense. Go ahead.
Then I'm looking at Chris Finch. Okay. Because he's sitting in those meetings when they're talking about potentially trading Cat. So that means he has to change his scheme up and change his system up to fit Randall and fit everybody else. They could run. Randall has a solid enough handle. They could do screen action with him and Gobert. And Gobert could roll to the basket and create problems, especially if Randall has his mid-range going, if they decide to go on that. They could do those type of things. I'm sure they've done those things in spurts, but that's how you could develop chemistry with that front court. Because those two players are so important. The power forward and the center position is so important to the team. They're the tallest and the second tallest player on the team. Their versatility and what they're able to do is paramount, especially in today's NBA. And Randall is special in his own right, and so is Gobert. They gotta figure it out. They have to figure it out. You have to. And if they're able to do that, we could. And with Anthony Edwards continue to improve. He says he's going to shoot as many threes. He's going to put up the threes. Again, I feel like there's other ways for him to be more efficient and score. But if that's what they're advising him to do, we'll see how it works out. To me, that's an okay formula. That's not the best one. But I'm looking at Randall, man. Now Randall's coming off the injury with the shoulder. He's going to a new team, new environment. He was with the Knicks for 6 seasons. Was the guy. Now he's the second guy. It's going to be an adjustment for sure. It's been difficult for DiVincenzo as well. Having the season that they had, going to a different team, maybe thinking things are going to be different. But you're a professional at the end of the day. They're out there. They're playing. When it comes to winning, They got to get right.
So you were talking about every game in the Western Conference is very important as far as the W column. Let's go ahead and transition over and see what that column actually looks like. Does that sound good? So let's go ahead and jump over and check out the NBA standings. We'll start in the West. How's that sound since we mentioned that? I'm going to blow my screen up and getting too old. So right now, as of Thanksgiving Day, Oklahoma Thunder is at the top of the West, followed by the Rockets, Warriors, Grizzlies, Lakers, Clippers, and then the play-in starting at 7 if the season ended today. The Nuggets, the Mavericks, the Suns, Spurs, and then the first team out is the Kings, and number 12 we have the Timberwolves. Of course, there's a few more teams on down there, but we'll just stick with that for now. Man, it even shows up even more. Of course, 8 and 10, they're not too far behind. They do have a losing record. Talking about Timberwolves, since we're on that subject there, I'm trying to look over here. So they're 3 in the last 7 with 4 losses in a row. So I can understand frustration going on right here, and it's great. Hopefully, a transition for them to get it back together. So being out of the play-in game at this moment with the Spurs ahead of you could be tough. And of course, the Kings, another team that we talked about this last episode we had, the past 2 years been in the top, 4, I think, all the way down in 11. So as you say, what's your thoughts on the Western Conference right now?
Yeah, the Houston Rockets. That's, to me, that's the story. We know what the Thunder have done. We know what they did last year. They're just going to continue to improve and get better. With Chet being out, Isaiah Hartenstein coming back into the lineup, doing a great job. Just high IQ basketball player. His ability, he's going to be perfect for him. He can space the floor a little bit and not space the floor from a three-point shooting standpoint. But he can shoot a 3 occasionally. But that touch shot, he knows how to get when he gets the basketball after the roll, he knows how to make the right read, whether it's the cutter on the weak side, or just getting into the hash of the collapse. Like watching him play last year for us, starting center spot when Mitch was hurt, his ability to set screens and make plays for others, it's going to be perfect for this Oklahoma City team. Even when Chet comes back, that's going to be a formidable front court. You could have both of those guys out there at the same time. They could be productive in plays. Great pickup. Great pickup, and understanding it was a great security pickup too, knowing that Chet has had some injury problems. His first year, he was out for the season, and now this year he's struggling a little bit with some injuries. So to not be so deficient at the 5 is something that we talked about with the Oklahoma City Thunder last year when we saw Gafford and Lively be so impactful in that playoff series against them. In the playoffs, they knew they needed to add some size at that position. Hartenstein is a great pickup. It's a great pickup. Houston Rockets, they're figuring it out. Udoka's a hell of a coach. He's a hell of a coach, doing a great job with this team, 8-2 in their last 10. Jalen Green taking that next step.
Yes.
Taking that next step. The athleticism and the talent. I'm watching him since high school. We know what he was capable of, but now coming into the league, it took some time. You have to grow. You have to mature. In the league, get stronger to be able to take contact, finish at the rim. And I think he's at that point now, and now he's just going to continue to get better. 41 the other night, I think 7 assists, 3 steals. If he's doing that on both ends of the basketball court, it's going to be dangerous. It's going to be dangerous for the team. They already have a bunch of talent with Udoka's coaching, and they have some toughness too. Say what you want about Dylan Brooks, and Fred VanVleet, he gets chippy too. He was getting a little chippy with the ref, I think, a couple games ago, which led to an ejection. So they got some guys in there. I think they did a great job of knowing they had a young core, and then they brought in some veterans to just come in there and just help out. VanVleet is a great veteran for those guys. He's a champion. He played in a system that was tough, nose hard, defense. Perfect. Now, sometimes, the shot selection, is not always there, but it's not always about that. It's about what he can give and the advice and certain type of leadership that he can bring and give to these young players like a Jalen, like Shane, like Jabari Smith. It's important. It's important. So that collection that they have and that they built, that's how you're supposed to build a team. You have young guys. You're supposed to put veterans with them so they can grow together. Warriors, mean, listen, they're on still a 3-game losing streak, but again, so far, from what I've seen over these 20 games or so, they look solid. They look good. They look good. So, Steph, I'm just happy that I was a little worried. I just wasn't sure what this team was going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
Just watching Steph in the Olympics, I'm like, man, if they go into the season and that team is not competitive, at least that's a bad look for the Warriors because Curry's still playing at a high level, but they got Buddy Hield, Jackson Davis, Draymond's out there. They're going to be fine. They're going to be in the mix, and they're going to be tough. They're going to be tough. The Grizzlies, just like I said, the Warriors on a 3-game losing streak. Grizzlies on a 4-game win streak. Jaw's back now. He has some injuries. I'm not surprised. This is the system. They know how to win in the West in the regular season. And when Ja Morant's on the court, he makes everybody better. So I expect this from Memphis, and there's going to be some battles. I already these potential battles that I'm seeing here that we could see if everything it's still very early. But if it looks like this, a couple months from now, Rockets and the Thunder. So that's exciting. That's exciting in the playoff. Jalen Green versus Ja Morant. These are things you have to highlight now in the regular season with these players. So now when the playoffs come and when they match up, we're like, oh yeah, we're ready for it. When you don't do that, why we need to see Jalen Green versus Ja Morant on ESPN. Build that game up. You have two of the most athletic young guards in the Western Conference. And they're both impacting their team in the toughest conference in the world.
It's almost like the NBA doesn't want to go to a new era, like a transition. They want to hold on to these old heads, and they're not that they're playing bad or anything. Like they're still dominant, but like we were talking about storylines earlier, and just looking at this top. I mean, a perfect one. Is this the year for the Thunder as they are leading the West? Everyone healthy. Look what they are. Like no one's a rookie now for this team. The Rockets. Okay, this athletic team that's been assembled by a coach who should have had a ring but messed up in life and is out of Boston. So have they put it together to make a big run here? The Warriors, did they replace Steph? And I know that's not what we really want to hear, but that's the storyline that they could use this. Buddy Hield, their missing piece for their team, and can Green keep it together? Grizzlies, Ja is back. Like that right there alone is a great story. Him and Edie, did I say it right? Edie?
Zach Edey,
yeah. Are they the two, best duo out there for the pick and roll, And that's just the top four. And those storylines are not being said. Not ever. I'm just saying this year, what they have to go. Calm down now, CJ. You always check me on some of these comments. I know I'm a loose cannon.
I know where you're at. I know. I got you.
Okay. But that right there is great storylines that are not going out there. We still hear Steph Curry talk, which he's great. But we also got to start putting in some of these new guys, the new talents that are coming in, because SGA's done it for years now. Like he's legit MVP candidate every year. Green at the Rockets, proven that he is there. Of course, we got Anthony Edwards, who's starting to come into the media a lot, but he still should be advertised more. Just looking at the list, see here, the Suns. Who cares about them anymore? I mean, you got the Kings are out, but you still have De'Aaron Fox, who is a upcoming superstar too. And it's just we're not advertising these young guys coming in to be that good of a player. Sorry, I interrupt you on your statements too.
No, you got, bro. We're breaking the teams down.
Of course, my brother jumping in here saying the Reed Shepherd effect with Houston there.
Yes, sir.
And Mark, we were just talking about the Timberwolves probably 5 minutes ago about what's going on with them. Anthony Edwards basically called his team out and saying they're soft. So we want to see. CJ made a great point on it, saying that we need to see how they respond. I was almost pulling the plug on it, saying, "Oh my goodness, he's calling them out. Something's going to give front office with this." But CJ said, hey, they're grown men. Let's see how they respond, which makes sense. So hopefully they'll be turning around. They lost the last 4 games. Park, by the way, I appreciate you getting in here with us.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you stopping by, my God. Thank you. Lakers and the Clippers, Battle LA in the top 6. Hey,
Yeah.
Let's Ty Lue's just one of the best in the league, top 5. No question. For this, how he's able to get the best out of all the guys on the team, maximize their talent. New arena. We already know with Kawhi, it's just what it is at this point. And they're finding ways to win. Harden's playing well. Had 43 the other night against the Wizards. 30 in the first half. I think it was yesterday actually. So this is what Harden does. And he can still go out there and go crazy. He's not washed. Not even close. That was never the discussion. So keeping him there was smart. Very smart by the Clippers because they know Kawhi is going to miss some time. And one, you got to put people in seats. Harden can definitely do that. But he could also help in winning. Zubac's playing well. So this is nice to see right now that the Clippers are in the mix, making things happen. The Lakers had some ups and downs. They're really good at home. Close to 500 on the road. We talked about Connect. I think Connect is definitely going to be up there for some of these awards down later on in the season.
I feel like the Lakers is the best team they had. Not players that are great players that are on the team. Like this is almost a balanced team on fitting those roles right now.
Exactly, and you got to give a lot of credit to JJ Redick. Got Scott Brooks, David Millen as assistants right there. Mm-hmm. So I know they're doing a great job in helping him and guiding him, but it's ultimately up to him and how he's creating these rotations, managing minutes. And they play well when they're knocking down their threes. Mm-hmm. And that seems to just always be something with them. They're really streaky when it comes to shooting threes, and that's why Connect is so important for them. KCP was really consistent from 3 for them for those few years when he was with the Lakers. When they were able to bring in a few more shooters, Danny Green, Rondo was able to space the floor during that bubble year. Like when they have some more shooters around and they're knocking down threes consistently on top of whoever they know what LeBron and AD bring, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. So Connect 6 threes against Utah, 37, in the quarter, 37, going crazy. He's able to do that right now. He already has that confidence. He's not just a catch and shoot guy. He can cut. He's athletic. He can definitely get it. He got some ups. If you sleep, he has high IQ. Definitely, his high IQ knows when to cut. Perfect fit for this team. Also, and it also shows that these scouts and that they cover the game. As I said with the Warriors, how teams copycat and steal it, and they think they could do the same thing. These scouts for these teams, they do the same exact thing. Bro. You got it. I got Wembanyama. Let's go try to see if we get another Victor Wembanyama. It's not the same thing. You have to do things differently. And just because a player played 3 years in college, it doesn't mean he's not going to be successful in the NBA. Like that's what they say. They say if you stay in college for 3 years, that means something's wrong. You weren't ready to come out when you were 19. Okay. It's like, all right. Like, how is that why should that be viewed as a negative? That to me, that's being self-aware. Hey, I'm not ready for the NBA yet. I need to stay in college and work on my game. I trust my coaches to help me for 2 and 3 more years so I can develop and get to the NBA. That's being self-aware. That's somebody you should have on your team. Why these scouts don't look at that? It's weird to me. Connect with.
I'm actually glad you.
I mean, what do we? He dropped the 17. It's crazy.
I'm really glad that you brought that up because I actually was just looking at my phone because I was thinking Connect. Like I'm pretty sure you've been there a while, And that's something that the NBA, I think, lags at is they want to take advantage on the young guys and hope that they could develop their talent. But like Connect, he's 23, so technically he would have been a senior this year, even, like you said, 3 years and going on. But the NBA, if you're over 22, 21, they're like, okay, we'll take you second round or maybe undrafted because we got to go out there and get these young 17, 19-year-olds that are just 7 foot tall that have the talent possibility of a ceiling that could be a Wemby. That's what it is. Or if you're a guard who can shoot from anywhere and you're slashy or flashy, we'll say too, that you're going to be drafted no matter what. But then these guys end up being in the G League, and it's just like, okay, are they ever going to make the jump? Like Chris Livingston, who's playing well now, of course, went to Kentucky. He left Kentucky too early, in my opinion. He spent 2 years in the G League, and now he's starting to make some noise in the NBA. Not a lot, but like they took a chance on him, but you had to keep him for 2 years. Like, are we taking the chances on these young guys so we can basically tank that way to keep getting these younger guys draft picks? And then if that's the case, that's completely wrong on what NBA fan needs. I even think, of course, you guys know I'm going to talk Kentucky players, but Oscar Tshiebwe right now, who is making a living in the G League. He's averaging, I think it's 20 points and like 19 rebounds a game. At some point, he's got to make that jump on, but everyone doubted him because he was so old. He stayed back for a 5th year at Kentucky and was the player of the year before, and then the next year I feel like he struggled a little bit. But since being in the G League, because he's from, I want to say, I can't remember what foreign country he is from, but since being in the G League, he has glasses now. He did not realize that his vision wasn't the best because he was from a third world country part of the world before he came here. So now he has glasses. That's why you see him with goggles on, and he's averaging so many more points. Like the man just didn't know. That's crazy to think that raw talent that this guy has. He's a little undersized, but I promise you, if one finger gets on that basketball, his hands are so strong that he's getting that ball. That's why he averages so many rebounds. So to me, NBA scouts and kind of what you're talking about have gotten one-dimensional on what they look for. And it's like, hey, you either got to be able to shoot or you got to be able to sky out of a gym and block shots like crazy. If you can't do either of those, you have no chance in the NBA. But to me, Oscar Tshiebwe is almost the same type of player other than the craziness as a Draymond Green. As far as I'm not going to score a bunch, but I'm going to get the rebounds, I'm going to start the break. As far as seeing the guy to get it out and mental veteran smart because he is so old now. But that's just me putting a little positive for my Kentucky guys. But the NBA, it's lost its fundamental and lost its frame of being different, in my opinion.
Exactly. That's a great way to phrase it. Just look at their percentages too. What's the percentage of those 18, 19-year-olds working out in the lottery?
Exactly.
We only talk about in the draft, we probably really every year, probably only talk about maybe 2-3 guys out of the first round, 30 out of 60 in 2 rounds. So, but in the lottery, you focus on, you need to get, to me, you should need to focus on getting them. It depends on the team. It depends on your team.
Of course.
But, and if you feel like it's close between a younger player and someone that's been in college for a few seasons, and it's neck and neck in terms of who you want to draft. They're both great. They've both been impactful where they're at and what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. But to me, they just completely got away from that at all in terms of even having a conversation about that. It's just completely, oh, you're 17. Okay, you're 18. Okay, cool. We're going to mold you into becoming great by the time, because that's what they think. They think the 22-year-old, he's capped out. Capped out. I put that in quotes, which is insane. At 22, how can you be capped out at 22? That's crazy. You're like what? 8-9 years away from your 7-8 years away from your prime. And then even with basketball, the way the league is now, we're seeing guys playing later into their careers. So even once the time they hit 30, 33, 34, they can still play another 4 or 5 seasons. So that's what, a 15-year career? How is 22? That makes no sense to me. It's crazy. That's a logic that makes 0 sense to me. And these scouts, they get away with it. And you see a team like the Sixers. I talk about this all. They got they're extremely blessed. because they had multiple first-round picks. They drafted 3 centers, Noel, Okafor, and they hit the jackpot with Embiid. Hit the jackpot with Embiid, but they drafted those 2 players after Embiid because they were unsure about his health.
Yep.
Ultimately, he was the one that lasted out of those 3, and we know what the career that he's having, that he's having. But is that the right formula to go about it? Draft a whole bunch of young guys and hope 2 or 3 of those guys work and they have good chemistry and it works out. Look at the way the Celtics did it. Yeah, they had Brown and Tatum, and they were very fortunate because of the trades that they made with the Nets. And obviously we know they fleeced the Nets, right? That's when they had the ARP, the retirement tour with all those guys when they went to Brooklyn. Gave up all those first-round picks, but they still had veteran guys on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Jaylen Brown was a rookie, but he was still in the playoffs, second round Eastern Conference Finals in the playoffs, because Isaiah Thomas was going crazy. They had veterans. They had a really good head coach in Brad Stevens. Then they were still able to get Tatum, and then Tatum comes into the league and he has veterans around him. It wasn't like they were 20 and 62.
Right.
So that's how you're supposed to build these young guys. And as I said with the Rockets, for the first few years with the coaches that they had, for the front office that they had, yeah, they drafted the guys, but they didn't do a good job of building around those guys. Now you see Rafael Stone, Udoka coming into the fold. They know how to build around those guys. Udoka knows it because he saw it in Boston already. So of course he's going to come to Houston and try to do the same thing, knowing that they have an array of talent as well. That's why they're successful. But you see in other situations, like I said, with Connect and Edie, these young players, just because they're 22, 23, doesn't mean they're done. They still have a lot of basketball left. That's a terrible way to look at a prospect. To me, it's lazy analysis.
Mm-hmm. I just want to give you facts real quick because I wanted to, when I said 2020, I thought, well, I might be exaggerating a lot. So Oscar, and of course it is the G League, but Sheboy last year averaged 16 points and 16 rebounds last year. This year he's averaging 16 points and 17 rebounds per game. So, I mean, plus shooting at over 700 from the free throw. And, of course, he's not a three-point shooter. I don't even think he's taken a few. But shooting between 60 and 50% between the 2 years. So, I mean.
How's his pick-and-roll defense?
That's what he struggled with at Kentucky. That was one of the things because – and, again, I don't know if that was something that was worked well with. I'll be honest with you. Calipari gets great players and teaches them how to be ready for the NBA, but I don't know so much about the X's and O's because he struggled being what we always called it. And when I played the no defense zone, if your guy's a big guy that you're guarding and he's not a threat three-point line, so you're not going to pressure him, but you're not on help defense on anyone else. You're in that almost O zone where nothing goes on. You can't deflect the pass. You can't challenge a shot. You're there nowhere. And Oscar would catch himself a lot. He'd hedge the screen, but not go out and bump them, basically hedge them where they have to go back. He'd almost say, well, I want to recover and get back to my guy, but then fake the defense. And they could always just, rise up right there for a mid-range jump shot and pull it. If he had someone to teach him, hey, either come up, this is how we're always going to play it. You come up and hedge it. We're going to double team off of the pick and roll so they never want to pick and roll and hope the rotation goes and not able to pass. That's what you do. Or, hey, let the guy slip through, get through, and you backpedal to your guy and just show yourself and retrieve. Right. He never could decide what he was supposed to do. And to me, that goes to coaching like, hey, this is a problem. We see what's going on. You're in no man's zone. You either commit to guarding the ball dribble, the ball handler, or you hedge and get and retrieve. Never did he ever learn to do either one of those. So hopefully that's being taught to him now. And once he gets that picked up, I think it'd be great for him because I'm telling you, if the rebound's there, he is going for it. Well, 16 rebounds, 17 rebounds a game in the NBA, they don't really miss too much, or G League, but close to the NBA, they still don't miss too much. That's a lot of rebounds per game. How many times have we talked about the centers who are 7 foot not averaging 10 rebounds per game, and it's trash because it's effort?
That's a fact. That's a fact, for sure. Hopefully he gets a call soon. Wish him the best. We'll see what happens. I look at the Denver Nuggets.
They don't look like.
Yeah. Nah, you good, bro. They don't look like the same Nuggets to me from the championship year. The defense looks like how it looked a couple of years before they won the championship. You know, it's not great. KCP is a big loss. They don't have Aaron Gordon right now. He's out with injury, so his versatility at that 4 spot definitely hurts them on the defensive end. But you have to be able to make things work. You have to be able to win these games. And there have been some close games. They played the Knicks. They got smoked by the Knicks 145-118. That was one of the worst defensive performances I've seen from the team in a very long time. In a very long time. It was literally no effort. You get a big win against the Lakers in LA, and you come back to your home court and you play like that. That's not they can't do that. They can't continue to keep those bad habits. They have to figure it out. Jamal Murray kind of called the team out a little bit too after that game, saying, guys they stayed in LA. They weren't really locked in for that Knicks game. After the win in LA, they should have been. So he's making it known early, which I think is important. It's important to let these things out, get these things out the way right now, so it doesn't affect you January, February, going into the playoffs. But defensively, for sure, we know Jokic is not, Orlando Dwight. Right? Like, we know that. We know he's not blocking shots, and that's not his game. But it's going to come to everybody around him is going to have to play well. I'm just not that impressed with what I've seen from the Nuggets. Now, when Aaron Gordon comes back, yes, the offense is going to look better because his efficiency around it in the paint can knock down the 3 here and there, and the defense. But you can't just rely and wait on him to kind of fix everything. Everybody else has to play a part and be impactful as well. And then when he comes back in there, that makes the team even stronger. So they need to, Michael Malone needs to figure some things out with his squad. Mavericks got a big win against the Knicks yesterday without Luka, without Clay. Was very impressed with that win. Najee Marshall has been an underrated pickup for the Dallas Mavericks. Been very impressed with his game. He played really well with the Pelicans the last couple seasons. But the Pelicans they're not a big market team. So he's not really seen that much as he should have. Now he's coming to the Mavericks. They're in the finals. There's going to be more spotlight. Kyrie, Luka, Clay, stars on the squad. Jason Kidd coaching. He's a great player. He's like 6'8", 6'9", can shoot the 3, can go to the basket, knock down free throws, get stops. That's the type of versatility you need around Luka and around Kyrie. That's exactly what you need. He had 23 points yesterday. He's had a couple of 20-plus point games over the last few games for him. I've been impressed, and he's just continuing to improve his game. Just the way they beat the Knicks. I guess we'll go to. I'll mainly talk about the Knicks about that game when we talk about the East. But yeah, the Mavs, when they get Luka and Clay together, they're going to be dangerous, man. I'm not really too worried about them. Phoenix, hot and cold. Got a big win against the Lakers, and then you lose against Brooklyn yesterday. So KD missed some time, and he came back. He came back. It's the same thing. I mean, I just don't think Nurkic again. I just don't think Nurkic is that guy for them at center, bro. I don't see it. It's not going to work. He's not the only reason. But I already know it's the same narrative with Phoenix. They're going to win a lot of games. It's going to be tough to defeat. You have to play all 48 against them because of the talent that they have offensively. But I'm not sure if they're going to win a championship. I don't see anything in terms of, I don't see championship level basketball for them. I see great talent, but I don't see a championship team. Spurs, it's good. It's okay. To me, I'm not overly impressed, you know what I'm saying, because they're still a young team. They got some veterans. They brought the veterans in to see the formula that Michael and I have been, continuously trying to implement in the show and how to build a team. Harrison Barnes, Chris Paul. Those are important veterans that you need around those guys for the Spurs that didn't have in the last few years. No Pop is out. Wish him the best. And they look good in moments. They lost to the Lakers yesterday in San Antonio. That was a bad loss. That was a bad loss. They could have played much better, especially in that third quarter and the fourth quarter. But it's going to take some time, man. They got to get into a rhythm. They have to get into a rhythm. Wembanyama's been playing excellent the last 9 games or so. I think averaging like 31, 54% from the field, 41% from 3.
And the good thing is,
I would like to see him go to the paint a little bit more. The last thing for me, I just would like to see him go to the paint a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit more. The 54% is good, especially because he's a jump shooter. But they're still 7'5". They're still 7'5". To me, 54% is good. It's actually great. It's great.
Right.
But at 7'5", I think you should be like closer to 60%. But again, he takes a lot of jump shots. 2 for 9 last night from 3. If it's not on, just dunk on the dude. And
I'm so glad you said it because
what are we really talking about? I don't know.
7-5 and 9 3-point shots taken. Yeah,
there were so many. You go back and watch that game. He set the screen and roll, and he has an automatic seal off, and he has his hand up, and his hand is up, and no one could get the basketball. Just give him the ball.
At 7,
even if you can't, and even a double team is really nothing.
Just raise the ball up. They can't do a thing to you. Like let's seriously think about it. If he's 7'5" and he raises his hands up, palming the ball, that ball has to be 10 feet up in the air, right?
For sure, yeah.
So definitely. I mean, like,
definitely.
And there's no like 5-second call, of being 6 feet like they are in the college and in the high school and everything. Like you literally could just say, "Hey, here's the ball. Hold it up there." Now, once we make some cuts, if they ever try to pressure you, just dump it down, Or if they just stay one-on-one with you, we'll clear out. Now just go to work. You're obviously a good ball handler. Let's not give it to you at the 3-point line. Let's give it you about 18 to 20 feet out. You triple threat up on them once we clear out. Jab one time, 2 dribbles to the right towards the baseline. That covers 15 feet. Now just go and jump over everyone. It may not be a dunk, but still with you jumping, there is no hand that's going to bother your shot. Let's just be honest with it. And make a couple easy baskets. I mean, granted, okay, great. You can shoot a 3. Wonderful. That's what the NBA is. But 2 of 9, if you had went, let's say 6 of 9, and with some 2-pointers in there, might be really different. I mean, I know 3 is more than 2, but 2 2s is more than 1 3 if you're missing a bunch. It just kills me. I'm old school. I know it. I'm 38. And to me, if I'm 6'5", 6'7", around here where I live, my butt is on the block with my back to the goal and I'm playing bully ball. If I'm 7'4", 7'5", and I can cross someone up, man, I'm going to get that ball and automatically with my back to the ball or to the goal, getting it, I'm going to sweep out my leg and get him face the goal, jab one time, spin on him, and just dunk it every time. That's 100%.
And he does do that. And, like, again, he's averaging 31 in his last, 9 games.
So of course.
It's not like he's playing bad. And I'm just saying I would like to see something historic where he's averaging 40 for a season. I feel like he could definitely do that. I definitely believe he could average. If he could average 36 for a season.
Crazy.
I don't think it's out of this realm to see Wembanyama at some point in his career average 40. I believe he will. As he gets stronger, as he continues to get, he will get stronger. Like as he continues to get stronger and he'll be able to finish around the rim, go to the free throw line. He didn't take 1 free throw attempt last night. Like 7-4. 7-4. How you not going to the free throw line at 7-4? Now listen, Embiid. Sometimes I don't like the way he gets his calls. Sometimes theatrical. You're too big. Yeah, you're too tall. You're too tall to be doing all that flopping around and throwing your arms all around. You're 7'1", 280. What's up? That looks crazy to me visually. Doing the stuff he's doing. You're already gonna get the call. You have an MVP. Chill out.
So I'm gonna ask you real quick. How many threes do you think Wemby should be taking in a game? Because to me, 9 is too many. I've got a number in my head. It's a little low. But I want to hear what you think yours is.
Like in the game, they were down. So in a way, I can understand him trying to get some shots up and try to cut the lead.
Right.
So yes, it's situational, and he can shoot the ball like 41%. It's the last few games. That's a great clip. How many? I say 5.
That's where I'm at.
I'll
And
say
that's me
5.
trying to go a bit higher. I think no more than 5.
Obvious.
And of course, situational. Everything is situational.
Yeah, if you got it going, sure, of course. He check. But to me, I would say 5. But again, I think it's stronger. I believe that he'll definitely get closer to the basket because then he'll be able to finish contact, finish and ones. He still gets the and ones. But yesterday it's like, how you not go to the free throw line one time?
Not once. To me, and we kind of talked about that with Anthony Davis a couple years ago on some games when he just disappears. Like he doesn't go to the basket. He settles for a fadeaway 3 or fading away or a 3. Let me say it that way. And he easily disappears on the points, stat sheets. And Wemby to pull a 3, granted 41%, obviously we're not bad-mouthing that. But if you're not shooting a free throw at all and you're 7'4", if you're not shooting a free throw at all and you're 6'11", playing a big, there's a problem. You're not an offensive threat, basically, is what we're saying. But in this case, Wemby needs to get to that free throw line. I don't understand why you don't take one free throw because I don't know how many shots he took, but he at least took 9. So I'd say he probably should took maybe 15 to 20. There should have been some free throws in that if you're being aggressive.
He was 9 for 20.
So 20 shots, okay, and not getting fouled one time.
Yeah,
is he that much bigger that he can't get fouled?
Yeah, it's that's something that he definitely needs to work on. I said the same thing about Cat. Cat definitely need to work on that too. Mm-hmm. How do you only average 4 free throw attempts? 4? Speaking of the East,
yeah, we had 10-40. We got to play 2K tonight, so we got to wrap this up.
Right. We got the Cavs 17-2, Celtics 15-3, Magic 13-7, and the Magic have been playing great. Knicks are 10-8, Bucks top 5, 9-9, Miami Heat 8-8, and then the playing spots you got the Pacers, the Nets, the Hawks, and the Bulls. What's your thoughts? Weekly recap.
Just going to go straight with the Cavaliers on this. I'm so excited for them to finally be putting it all together. Not only, of course, they've only lost 2 games. So when I say this, it's going to sound weird, but not only are they winning at home, which every team should strive to win your games at home, they're also winning on the road. They've only lost 1 game on the road, 1 at home, of course, and they're 8-2 of their last 10. To me, I think this is a team at the number 1 spot that still doesn't get a lot of the storylines that they're talking about that they don't have. This is an underdog team leading right now. It's not the Celtics, who, of course, are just 1 game behind them, but it's not the Celtics. It's not the Bucks. It's not the 76ers in this conversation. It's the Cavaliers, who the Knicks put out a couple years ago, and it's almost the same roster. So I feel like this should be a storyline for sure that the Cavaliers are doing it for the first time right now without LeBron, and this is really the first time that they've been at that 1 seed for so long. So that, to me, should be instantly storyline there. The Celtics, of course, gave Cavaliers one of their losses during the in-tournament or in-season tournament. It was a great game. Cavaliers didn't have some of their players actually show up, it seems like, as far as their stat line. It was a good game. Donovan Mitchell did best as he could to try to keep it relevant. The Magic, we have to finally start saying that the Magic are the real deal here at the number 3 spot, 13-7. Of course, they have lost 4, or they're 4-7 on the road. They're 9-0 at home. Again, I say this a lot. If you can win your games at home, you're going to be ranked pretty well on this. But they got to learn how to win on the road and diversity with that. They've won 4 of their last games. They're on a 4-game win streak here. The last 10, they're 9-1. So they're putting it together really good right now. I think last time we were on, they were in the play-in game, so they've jumped quite a bit. They might have been in the 5 or 6. I'm not for sure. So, I mean, they've moved up. The Knicks, I'm not even going to say a word about them. I'm going to leave that for you as you lean back and show the jacket there, of course. It's really good to see the Bucks. That was the whole offseason story last year, was the Bucks made the trade to try to win the championship, and they were horrible. So they're finally 500 and at the 5th spot. The last 10 games are 7-3 on the 5-game win streak too. Dame has played a few games pretty good here recently, and it finally seems like maybe they're gelling. Of course, they are only 2 of 6 on the road. It seems like the Bucks always have that going for them, that they can't play very well on the road. Miami Heat still have some injuries here and there. I don't think we've been fully healthy for out of the 16 games. I don't know how many games we've actually been healthy, but we're 7.5 back from first. This is a spot where I think we basically live at. Is that playoff last spot in the playoffs. Here we're at 6 right now. Tyler Hero is really showing that he is a good player to be in that starting lineup. Jimmy Butler, hopefully he starts taking back over at some point. Of course, this is way too early for him, but Hero's really been our guy in the last little bit here. I'm surprised Pacers at 7, not in the playoff bracket. You know, they're in the play-in, but Pacers are really a team that's come along. We know that. I look, and these two teams really has me surprised is the Hawks playing well at the moment. They are 4 of 6. They're still surviving, I guess. They kind of start the season off more on fire. They're at the 9 spot, and the Nets, who preseason we kind of was trash talking about we didn't really know how they could play. Of course, I mentioned that they may be good, but also I don't think they'll continue to be good because this team will get picked apart on trades. But they're 9 and 10 in the 8 spot. Of course, I say that, and I'm pretty sure most of the 9 and 10 spot on the West still had at least a 500 record. So the 7 and below are already under 500 for the East, which is kind of how it always goes because the Western is so close with that. So I don't know if I said that correctly, but so close as far as competition there. But really, the play-in tournament right now, if it were to end today with the Pacers, the Nets, the Hawks, and the Bulls, it's kind of surprising that they would be there. I don't think this far in we would have thought these guys – well, we're not too far in, but this early in the season we thought the Nets, Hawks, and Bulls would have been in the top 10 in my opinion because I didn't think Levine would be here still, but that's at least my top 10. The Pistons are right there in the race too. They're 8 and 12. They have the same record as the Hawks and the Bulls. They aren't really playing well anywhere. They're just at the 8 wins. I was sitting there looking. I thought they played better at home, but they're 4 and 5 at home. But then they're 4 and 7 on the road. So at least they have more wins than they had last year at this time, and that was 2. So Pistons staying relevant right now.
Orlando, Jamal Mosley's done a fantastic job. Franchise, Franz Wagner, all the players that they had. They extended guys, they signed players, core pieces that will help them going forward. They weren't satisfied with how they played. Took the Cavs to 7 games in the first round. Now we see what the Cavs look like right now. So, I mean, that just goes to tell you how great both of those teams are. And that's going to be a rivalry going forward in the East. Excited to see how that plays out in the future. Yeah, but Carroll being out and then still being able to not just like stay afloat, be impactful and play extremely well. It's very impressive. Impressive what I've seen with the Magic, Jalen Suggs, Wendell Carter, all those guys. For the Knicks, it's just back and forth. It's just high and cold. Had a great game against the Nuggets. Didn't look terrible yesterday against the Mavericks. McCall Bridges still really hasn't been able to figure it out in terms of how to get to his spots, and that's going to be on Tom Thibodeau. He hasn't played great yet. Very early. Again, 18 games. So I expect him to start to get it going, I believe, towards the second half of the season, towards the end of the first half, going into the second half of the season, start to hit his stride. Because yes, he's had some Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart are his former teammates, but it's still a new team, it's still a new environment. So it's gonna take some time. Cat's been excellent. OG Anunoby outside of last night has been excellent, but defensively, they to me, I don't see them going anywhere far if the defense is the way it's been. It can't happen. But with Precious Chua and Mitchell Robinson coming back, I believe that enhances our front court, that enhances our defense and our rebounding. once they come back, I think this team will look completely different. And they're coming back soon. They're coming back. I think Preston's coming back in a couple of weeks or so. And hopefully Mitchell Robinson can come back towards January, late, probably the second week and third week of January. And so he can start to get in shape and get a stride in before April. So I like the team. They look good in moments. In moments, they're one of the best offenses in the league because they are. Top 10 offense, top 10 in assists. But the defense has been taking a complete dive, and you don't really see that with Tom Thibodeau-led teams at all. And so that's an interesting trade-off, something that I did not expect. If they could just get to the middle of the pack defensively, and they continue to do what they do offensively, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. The Bucks, yeah, this is good. Too talented to just lay down. Way too talented to just lay down. You got Giannis is a dog. Dame is a dog. So like, there just comes a point where you just have to look at each other and just like, what's up? What's up? It's bigger than Doc Rivers. And Doc Rivers too. They're looking in the mirror like, what can I change? How can I make this better for myself? And right now they're hitting a nice stride. Got themselves in the top 5 at 500. Miami, that was a really good game between the Bucks and the Heat the other night. I believe that was Tuesday night. Close game, went down to the wire. Heat Bucks always going to be entertaining late over these last few years. That's all it's been, entertaining. And we definitely got that a couple of days ago between both squads. Pacers, Halliburton was struggling early. I think he's starting to get it back. But I'm not worried about them. Brooklyn in a 3-game win streak. Got a big win against Phoenix, as I talked about earlier. And then you still see stories about guys being available for trade. So I don't know how true that is in terms of stories. But I don't know. It's still a wait and see moment for Brooklyn because they're not really in this spot often. So I want to see how they continue to grow and what they do really. What they do. Like I said, it's a nice 2-game win streak, but how do they keep it going? Hawks got a big win against the Cavs. Last night, Trae Young had to get 20 and 21 and 22 assists. They're doing crazy. They're going to be a playing team. They're a playing team. We know this. And the Bulls, I would like to see Lonzo healthy. He's supposed to come back from the wrist injury, I think soon. Lonzo healthy, man. I want to see what that team looks like. So the East is solid. Of course, the Celtics. East is solid, but to me, if you're to ask me right now, like who would be the biggest threat to Boston, like in a series, probably still take the field. I still don't think there's one team. that could defeat them 4 times in the playoffs. I'm still going with the Celtics. It's tough. But I like the Cavs, but I have to see it first. And we've seen great regular season teams, and the playoffs have to look different. But this team could be different. I hope it is. I think it'll make for great NBA. It'll make for some great NBA. Okay. That wraps it up, guys, for the show. Appreciate everybody tuning in. It's like 43 people in here. Thank you. Grateful for you guys.
And it's mostly your Twitter.
Right now. You said what happened?
I said, and it's mostly your Twitter follower. So we appreciate that, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. The people that's tuning in for real on my X account. Continuing to show love. Hit that retweet, hit that like on the post. That really helps Michael and I continue to do this thing on MNC Hoops. You guys can be doing anything right now. It's Thanksgiving, chilling with us, talking some basketball. Incredibly grateful. So thank you guys for tuning in.
Absolutely. We'd love for you guys to start leaving the comments, as Chris did earlier on Twitter as well, and let us know your thoughts on what we say too, guys, because it helps us have conversation of what's going on when we hear you all talking to us. Like, okay, so this is something they want to hear a little more about. Let's get them more in depth with it, and kind of can adjust their show to to what you guys want to talk about with us as well. Of course, we try to have an agenda and keep going with it, but we'd love to hear from you guys. We love the interaction with it for sure. But if you want to interact with us more, CJ, where can they find you at?
You can find me on X at cjames9_. Find me on Instagram at cj.james9. CJ vs. the World on YouTube and also on Twitch. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving again.
Excuse me. Of course, you see down here below my name here, youtube.com/@MNC Hoops is our YouTube page. Please go subscribe to that and hit that bell for the notifications when we do go live on this. And of course, you can follow me, MDLawson00, and pretty much all social media platforms where I do Cats Chat, where it's all Kentucky sports as well. Just happy for those opportunities we can get doing that. Thankful for you guys for tuning in with us. And, of course, happy Thanksgiving. We do appreciate you all. Until next time, guys, keep out there, keep balling, keep shooting your shots, guys, and we will see you all next week.
See you guys next week. Take care. Take care.